The Zelthari armada descended upon the Lorati refugee fleet like a storm of blades. Plasma fire carved through hulls, turning ships into funeral pyres against the void. High Admiral Vorkuth watched from his command throne, mandibles clicking in satisfaction. Pathetic. The Lorati had no warriors left, only cowards fleeing their doomed worlds. His comms officer relayed the final transmission from the dying fleet, a plea for mercy. Vorkuth leaned forward, his voice a rasp of contempt. Mercy is for the strong to withhold. Wipe them out. On the other side of known space, the Galactic Council convened in its shimmering orbital chamber. Ambassador Krell of the Zenthian hegemony adjusted his holoprojector, displaying Earth's latest trade proposal: agricultural exports, mineral rights, nothing of consequence. Why do we still entertain these primates? He scoffed. They barely manage their own system, let alone contribute to galactic defense. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the assembly. Captain Elias Vance, the lone human representative, stood silently in the observation gallery. His uniform was crisp, his expression unreadable. He had heard it all before. Humans are weak, humans are fragile, humans will never stand among the great powers. The Lorati ambassador, her scales dull with exhaustion, stumbled into the chamber. The Zelthari have broken through the last defensive line. We beg for reinforcements. The council shifted uncomfortably. Krell sighed. The Zelthari fleet outnumbers us 3-1. Sending aid now would be suicide. Vance's fingers twitched. He had his orders. Wait for the signal. But the desperation in the Lorathi's voice clawed at him. He stepped forward. Earth will intervene. The chamber erupted in derisive laughter. Krell wiped tears from his ocular ridges. With what, Captain? Your freighters? Your orbital patrol boats? Vance didn't smile. He tapped his wrist comm once. No. With Leviathan. Deep in the Sol System's asteroid belt, something stirred. A mountain of blackened metal, camouflaged among the rocks for decades, hummed to life. Its engines flared, a star being born in the dark. On the bridge of the Zelthari flagship, alarms shrieked. Massive energy spike, unknown signature. Vorkuth snarled. Some Lorati trick. Scans. The sensor officer's voice trembled. It's a warship. But the size. Then the Leviathan tore through subspace directly into the heart of the Zelthari formation. Its hull, scorched and pitted from centuries of silent vigil, bore no flags, no insignia, only the scars of a predator that had waited too long to hunt. Vorkuth's screen flickered as a human face appeared. Admiral Hallie Graves, her eyes cold as the void. You should have left Earth out of this. The Leviathan's main cannon charged. The galaxy held its breath. Then it fired. And everything changed. The gravity cannon's discharge ripped through the Zelthari battleship like paper. One moment it loomed in the void, engines flaring for retreat. The next, its shattered hull spun wildly, spilling atmosphere and bodies into the abyss. Admiral Graves watched the destruction unfold on the Leviathan's main display, her fingers steepled. Target their command cluster. Disable, don't annihilate. Let them report what they've seen. The bridge crew moved with practiced efficiency. Human and Lorati officers worked side by side, their hands flying across holographic controls. Lieutenant Cade, a grizzled veteran with neural implants flickering along his temple, barked coordinates. Secondary fleet moving to flank. They're trying to box us in. Graves smirked. Let them. The Zelthari had never encountered a ship like this. The Leviathan wasn't just large, it was alive, its systems adapting mid-battle. When their plasma lances overloaded one shield sector, the energy redistributed instantly. When they launched boarding pods, the carrier's internal defense turrets activated, not automated, but aimed, as if the ship itself was hunting. Vorkuth's hologram flickered onto the Leviathan's comms array, his carapace vibrating with rage. What abomination is this? Earth had no such technology. Graves leaned back in her chair. Earth doesn't advertise. A proximity alert blared. The Zelthari had thrown their last gambit, a swarm of suicide drones, each packed with enough antimatter to crack a moon. Cade's implants flared red. No time to intercept. Graves didn't flinch. Activate Siren's lure. Deep within the Leviathan S core, a prototype system whirred to life. The drones veered wildly off course, their targeting systems hijacked by a pulse of distorted gravity waves. They collided with each other in a chain reaction of silent fireballs. On the Lorati refugee ships, survivors pressed against viewports. They had expected death. Instead, they saw the impossible, a human vessel, older than some of their civilizations, dismantling the galaxy's most feared navy like a child breaking toys. Vance's voice crackled over the comms from his fighter squadron. "Admiral, their flagship's shields are failing." "Orders." Graves exhaled. "Bring me Vorkuth." The Leviathan S engines flared. It wasn't retreating. It was advancing. The Zelthari flagship's shields buckled under the Leviathan S sustained barrage, its hull groaning from the strain. Vorkuth clutched his command console as deck plates shuddered beneath him. "All batteries, concentrate fire on their engines. We will not be humiliated by these primitives." His weapons officer hesitated. "Admiral, their armor is adapting. Our lasers are being diffused before." "Then hit them harder." But the Leviathan wasn't just weathering the storm, it was learning. Every missed shot, every failed torpedo volley fed its tactical AI, refining its evasion patterns. The carrier's massive frame moved with eerie precision, sliding between barrages like a specter. Graves monitored the battle from her command throne, eyes locked on the holographic tactical display. "They're predictable. Cade, reroute auxiliary power to forward thrusters, prepare the gravity slingshot." Cade's neural implants flickered as he executed the order. "Aye, Admiral." Setting course for the black hole's event horizon. The Zelthari didn't realize the trap until it was too late. The Leviathan accelerated toward the system's dormant singularity, its engines flaring crimson. Vorkutha's sensor officer screamed a warning, ***, they're luring us into the gravity well. But momentum carried the pursuing fleet forward. At the last possible second, the Leviathan pivoted, its reinforced hull groaning under the strain. The Zelthari vanguard couldn't compensate. Ships tumbled out of formation, their stabilizers overwhelmed by the sudden shift in space-time curvature. 3 destroyers spiraled into the abyss, their screams cutting off as event horizon static swallowed their signals. Vance's fighter squadron exploited the chaos. His interceptors weaved through the panicked Zelthari lines, precision missiles shredding engine clusters. "That's 5 for me," he muttered, rolling his craft beneath a flailing battleship's underbelly. The Lorati, emboldened, joined the fray. Their remaining cruisers, battered but unbroken, flanked the Leviathan, adding their firepower to the counteroffensive. For the first time in the war, the Zelthari were outmaneuvered. Vorkutha's hologram flickered onto the Leviathan S bridge, his mandibles quivering. "You fight like cowards, hiding behind tricks and gravity." Graves didn't blink. "No. We fight like humans." She closed the channel. The Leviathan S main cannon hummed to life again. Silence gripped the bridge as the Leviathan S gravity cannon reached full charge. The weapon's targeting array painted a single, pulsing crosshair on the Zelthari flagship's bridge. Admiral Graves flexed her fingers, the weight of the moment settling across her shoulders. "Final warning. Vorkuth. Surrender." Static crackled across the comms before his voice snarled back. "The Dominion does not yield to lesser species." Graves exhaled through her nose. "Then you die with honor." She nodded to Cade. The cannon fired. A ripple of distorted spacetime tore through the void, shearing through the flagship's armored prow like it was wet parchment. The vessel split along its spine, atmosphere venting in frozen plumes as secondary explosions marched down its length. Escape pods jettisoned in frantic clusters, too few, too late. Vorkutha's last transmission was pure static. Across the battlefield, Zelthari ships floundered. Some turned to flee, others fired blindly in their death throes. Vance's squadron picked them off with surgical precision while the Lorati mopped up stragglers. Within minutes, what remained of the once proud armada was drifting wreckage. The Galactic Council's emergency channel exploded with panicked queries. Krell's hologram appeared, his ocular ridges twitching. "Admiral Graves, the Council requests, no requires, an explanation." Graves leaned back, exhaustion and triumph warring in her bones. "Explanation. Earth signed your treaties, followed your rules. But we never stopped preparing for the day you'd need us to break them. She gestured to the viewport where the Leviathan's scarred hull gleamed under distant starlight. This ship was built in secret over 6 generations. Every famine, every war, every budget cut, we still poured resources into her. Because humanity doesn't trust the galaxy to protect its own. The Lorati ambassador stepped forward, her scales shimmering with unspilled tears. You saved us when no one else would. Why? Vance answered from his fighter, voice soft. Because it was the right thing to do. Graves let the silence linger before opening a fleet-wide channel. All vessels, this is Admiral Graves. The Zelthari Dominion has fallen. The Leviathan will remain on station to assist recovery operations. She paused. And to any listening who thought Earth weak, remember today. The comms erupted in cheers, human, Lorati, even a few Zenthian voices. Graves shut off the feed and stared at the stars. Somewhere out there, new threats waited. The Leviathan would be ready. The Leviathan's hangar bay thrummed with activity as repair crews swarmed over battle-scarred fighters. Graves strode past them, her boots ringing against the deck plating. Everywhere she looked, humans and Lorati worked side by side, welding hull breaches, recalibrating weapon systems, tending to wounded. The air smelled of ozone and antiseptic. Vance fell into step beside her, flight helmet tucked under one arm. Councils demanding a full debrief. Krell's practically foaming at the mouth about concealed military assets. Graves snorted. Let him foam. Earth's diplomats will handle the politics. She stopped at a viewport, watching as tugs hauled Zelthari wreckage into containment fields. What matters is what happens next. A chime sounded from her wrist comm. Priority message, Sol Defense Command, encryption level Omega. She scanned the brief, then deleted it. Vance raised an eyebrow. They want more ships, she said flatly. A fleet based on the Leviathan's design. 5-year construction timeline. Vance whistled. That'll make the council shit themselves. Graves' lips twitched. Good. Across the bay, a group of Lorati engineers clustered around a human tech, their tentacles gesturing excitedly at a holographic schematic. The human laughed, pointing to a modified power coupling. Graves watched them for a long moment. We could build it faster with allied help. Share the schematics. Vance stiffened. After centuries of secrecy, trust goes both ways. She turned from the viewport. Besides, the Leviathan was never about hoarding power. It was about having a choice when the moment came. Her comms officer hurried over. Admiral, we're receiving a fleet-wide hail from the Zenthian hegemony. If Krell. The bridge fell silent when Graves entered. Krell's hologram wavered before stabilizing, his usual arrogance replaced by something far more interesting, respect. Admiral Graves. The Galactic Council has voted unanimously to offer Earth a permanent seat on the Security Directorate. A pause. With full military oversight privileges. Graves didn't react. And the Lorati. Krell's mandibles clicked. Their provisional membership has been fast-tracked. She glanced at the Lorati ambassador, whose frills flushed violet with emotion. We accept. On one condition. Graves leaned forward. No more hiding in the shadows. From now on, humanity stands where everyone can see us. Krell dipped his head, the first time he'd ever shown deference to a human. The galaxy will remember this day. Graves cut the transmission and turned to her crew. Set course for Sol. Time to go home. As the Leviathan pivoted toward Earth, its massive engines painting the stars with blue fire, one truth echoed through every deck. The game had changed forever. The Leviathan's return to Earth orbit sent shockwaves through Sol system. Every defense platform, every orbital habitat, every lunar colony lit up with frantic comm traffic as the Supercarrier's shadow fell across the planet. Graves watched from the observation deck as Earth's defense fleet scrambled to form an honor guard, not in defense, but in awe. Vance joined her, fresh from debriefing with Sol Command. They're calling it the second space age down there. News feeds are exploding with footage of the battle. He handed her a datapad showing global headlines. Humanity strikes back and Earth's sleeping giant awakens scrolling endlessly. Graves set it aside. And the Council? Panicking. They just approved emergency funding for 3 more deep space shipyards. Vance smirked. Turns out watching one carrier dismantle an empire makes politicians very cooperative. A priority alert chimed. Cade's voice came through crisp. Admiral, we're receiving a direct beam from Mars Parliament. They're demanding... Put them through. The hologram resolved into a gaunt man in Martian formal wear, his jaw tight. Admiral Graves. The Martian colonies were not consulted about this revelation. We have concerns about Earth monopolizing this technology. Graves didn't blink. Then send your best engineers. The Leviathan project is opening all archives to system-wide collaboration. The Martian's eyes widened. You'd share it? After keeping it secret for... It was never about secrets. Graves gestured to the viewport where Earth hung blue and fragile. It was about surviving long enough to need them. Deep in the carrier's belly, a new sound echoed, not the hum of weapons charging, but the shriek of cutting torches as teams began dismantling entire sections. Graves had ordered the Leviathan gutted for study, its secrets laid bare for every human colony. Vance watched a team of Martian engineers being escorted through security. This changes everything. No. Graves turned toward the stars. This just lets us keep up. The first transmission from Andromeda had arrived that morning. The Andromeda transmission burned through every encryption protocol like acid through paper. Graves stared at the decrypted symbols floating above the war table, a single repeating sequence that made Earth's top xenolinguists pale. Vance tapped the frozen image. That's not a greeting. It's a warning label. Across the table, the Martian lead engineer wiped sweat from her brow. We've matched the mathematical structure to known Zelthari distress codes. Whatever sent this encountered something worse. Graves zoomed in on the transmission's origin point, a star cluster halfway to Andromeda that shouldn't have been capable of FTL signals. How old is this? Cade's neural implants flickered as he cross-referenced databases. Impossible to determine. The carrier wave suggests it's been traveling at least 12,000 years. A chill settled over the room. The Leviathan's victory suddenly felt small. Krell's hologram flickered to life, his mandibles twitching erratically. Graves, the Council has analyzed your data. We are concerned. Behind him, alien scientists scurried in panic. This transmission matches ancient ruins in 7 systems. Always the same symbols. Graves' wristcom buzzed, a priority alert from Earth's president. She ignored it. You knew. We theorized. Legends of a great filter, a cosmic reset mechanism, ***. Admiral. A young ensign burst in, face ashen. The Leviathan's deep-range scanners just picked up an anomaly. Heading straight for Sol at speeds we can't explain. The war table lit up with fresh data. Graves' blood turned to ice. Something had answered the transmission. And it would arrive in 48 hours.